Checklist.io.
Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host Rachel.
And I'm Delia.
And today we're going to be talking about your man being locked up and whether or not you should wait for him. Do you wait for him? Do you not wait for him?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
what do you do? What do you do?
Let's talk about it. Oh my goodness.
I have fortunately never experienced this, but I know this is something that happens a lot often than not where, you know, all of a sudden your significant other is in jail, maybe for trafficking, maybe for, I don't know, didn't pay tickets. There could be so many different variables.
Yes.
And so my question to you is, would you wait for your man to get out of jail?
So here's a fun fact that I actually heard from an attorney who we both know. And he had said to me, it's interesting when you go to the men's prisons, the men's facilities, because on visitation day, there are droves of women, the moms, you know, the sisters, the girlfriends, the wives, the daughters, whatever. Tons of women.
Yeah.
The lines are long, the process is long, all of that. He says, but when you go to the women's facilities, the women's prisons, there are like no men. There's very few people there, and there's like no men. And I thought, is it like what in the world? And so it begs the question. So if he's in there, do you just stop your life, or do you just
I think
keep
it
going?
matters on what they went to jail for, right?
Yep.
If they go in for murder and you want to stand by your man and you know he's going to do life, like, I mean, are you going to be a lifer with him? Like, literally, a lifer. And for me, I just feel like, yeah, I probably would not. Yeah.
No,
I could almost say that's a hard no.
Yeah.
A hard pass. Like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I know there are even women that seek men and they love men that are in prison and they want to marry them. And I know a particular person that actually married someone while in jail because they get rights as wives to
The conjugal visits?
Exactly. So if you're just a girlfriend, you don't get those visits. But if you're the wife, you do. So a lot of women seek out these men. I know Scott Peterson, which he's, you know, famous for killing his wife, Lacey Peterson, and leaving her in the lake, in the river, in Modesto.
While she's pregnant.
While she was pregnant. Yeah, I know that he has a lot of offers. Like, a lot of women want to marry him.
Fans, oh my God.
A fan club. It's mind-boggling to me. I personally feel that that's not for me. I know I wouldn't be able to do that. And I know there's women that love men that are in prison.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you. It depends on what for and how long. And it also depends on, are you married? Is this a boyfriend? How long have you been married? How long have you been the girlfriend? Like, it's those types of things. I think if you've been with a guy for a year or two and he gets a 6-month, sentence or something like that, or has to serve 6 months, you still have to kind of, as a girlfriend, go,
is it worth it?
Yeah, is it worth it? Is this like a thing for him now? And then what does that even mean later on when he's trying to provide for you? Like, is it going to affect his ability to provide?
That's true, too, because I've heard, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I've heard once you get caught up in that system, it's really difficult for you to get out of that rhetorical system.
It is.
And, it's like one false move and all of a sudden you're back in. And do you want to be dealing with someone that's in and out of your life? And then they get so territorial over you, right? They get so territorial over you because they have no control over what you're doing. And as it is, they're probably assuming that you're with someone, even if you're not with anyone. But I always love to hear the stories, but I know it's not for me. And I'm always like completely mind boggled by the women that stand by their man. And they're like, I don't care, under any and all circumstances, I'm going to stand right behind him. There's that famous, the USC scandal. I mean, I think they're still together, right? Lori Loughlin and Mr. Marziano.
Yeah,
what was,
I don't know the details.
I don't either. I know that they both were in it, and I think that it was like the USC scandal. I don't really know so much of the details other than they cheated their children's way into USC. And I think that they're standing by each other's side. But at that point, you guys are both convicts. So it's like, you wait for me and I wait for you, That's different.
It is so different. I don't know. It's a really tough one because there's too many variables of like, what the situation can be like. Can you imagine if you were in a marriage for quite a while that you were already doubting,
right?
And then he goes away. But a lot of women, I mean, let's just be completely honest, they're going to be concerned about how they look
right.
in that situation, and like if they walk away, what are people going to say about them because they walked away?
Right.
Or, you know,
I mean, do you think it's equivalent to, like they say that you really realize like who your friend is when you're in the hospital? Do you think it's one of those, like where it's like this crazy life-changing decision, not decision, but it's a life-changing, what do you call it?
Like a moment.
Like a moment in your life, right? And so do you then say she backed up, or she, you know, broke up with me the minute I went to jail? It's kind of like being in the hospital, like no one came to see me, no one, you know, this person doesn't even care about me. Is it one of those things? Would you say that or no?
So, I mean, I think it would be, but it's super tough because I'm really right now when you're talking, I'm like really
Trying to
putting
process
myself
it? You're like,
in
okay.
the shoes of a woman that, you know, might have that unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, I think I would stand by my boyfriend through the arraignment, meaning there's a process, right? So like they get arrested and then they have to go to court, and then there's usually like a court case maybe. And,
Right.
and then they do the arraignment and you figure out how much time he's going to get. I think standing by him during the process, depending again on what it is. What if it's a situation that he was out with some other girl, right? And he got caught up, and then you're going to be like, what? Now you're dealing with, he's going away, you're supposed to stand by him, but he's a little freaking sneaky one.
Yeah.
So I think that if it was like a decent relationship that you thought was going somewhere, and then all of a sudden he gets caught up, and I think just the person I am, I'd want to lend some kind of support along that journey, because I would imagine it'd be really scary and stuff like that. But once he's sentenced, depending on what that number is and the details that come out
Of course.
of that situation, I would have to make my decision at that time. But if I was just dating someone and it was a long time, even if it was a short time, I don't know, because that actually taints you. Like,
It
again,
does.
you know?
And you know what? Let's just say if he was caught for trafficking, you don't know, you know,
Like
what
drug
the
trafficking?
yeah, let's just say, right?
Okay.
You don't know the plea bargains that they're going to be doing behind the scenes. He may not even disclose those things with you, and all of a sudden, you know, you get a knock on the door. Not even like you get someone crawling in your window like at 2-3 in the morning because you don't know what they know that you don't know.
Who's
and
involved?
who's involved? What, you know? There's a domino effect to it. So for me, that's the one thing that would like beyond scare me.
Yeah.
But you know, on a side note, and kind of like I'm going to share a really crazy story, kind of, you know, veering away from that particular subject that we were just talking about. I knew this nurse that worked for the Chino Hills prison, and I'll never forget this, by the way. It's the weirdest, the wildest thing. So for me, I was thinking that, you know, they had just simple, my head hurts, we're just going to get some Advil. Like, she was just a nurse there, an RN, that just worked there, you know, just
like
kind
the
of
shanks. If somebody gets shanked, they gotta like stitch them up.
yeah, you know, that kind of thing. I was like, so do a lot of people get, you know, shanked? Because I'm very inquisitive, so I always ask like 1,000 questions. So I'm like basically just about interviewing her.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, it's not even that. She's like, actually, she's like, what happens is, she's like, a lot of these guys actually have boyfriends in prison. And so what they do is, obviously, you know, they're with their boyfriends in jail. And sometimes, you know, some of the guys aren't, you know, willing and ready and willing to have sex with another man. So obviously there's been times where, you know, men get like sodomized or they get raped, which is stuff that you do hear. But what she was basically saying is that she's had to stitch men up from, I mean, as gross as it sounds, I was completely floored by that. And I said, wait, what? She goes,
like,
oh yeah, completely stitched up from behind. And she's like, and the weirdest, the craziest thing, she's like, you won't guess what? And I said, what? These men have wives. These men have families. And like the wives come and visit. And she's like, and I'm like, and what, how do you feel? She's like, I mean, it is embarrassing that I have to like basically bend them, like, you know, like stitch them up. And it's another world, you know, because it's not a world that I know. And I know there's even women that like find pen pals to write, and they're like, hey, my friend's still in jail. He wants somebody when he gets out. Are you, you know, would you be willing? I know when we were, when I was much younger, that was the thing. Like, I remember there was like girls that just like wrote to guys, and that was never, I was like, no, I don't need friends in jail. Like, I'm good. I respect that. I don't want it. I'm good. But there's a lot of girls that would, have these boyfriends that they're waiting for them to get out.
That, especially
So
I think in
crazy.
the Latin community, right?
Right.
Like, we're Mexican, and it's like it's something that you unfortunately do see sometimes, like in your own families and,
You do.
and stuff like that. And I know that when I was in school, one of my little buddies, he got in trouble. I don't even remember for what. And he called on the collect and was saying, can I get your address? And I was like, because we were friends since like junior high. And next thing you know, I'm getting these envelopes with like the old English writing and like the drawings.
They're really beautiful.
Good.
They draw really pretty.
Calligraphy and like all the like shaded pencil art and all this kind of stuff. And I remember my dad seeing the envelope on my dresser, and he's like, what the hell is this? And he's like, no, you don't. Someone gets locked up, you let them do their time and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, I was trying to be a friend, but it wasn't like the ladies that we do see now that they look for the inmates. Right. And I even saw a TikTok, doesn't sound so crazy. The guy is in jail, and he's all, hey, ladies. He actually handsome guy in jail. You see the whole cell, his outfit and everything. And he's like, hey, anybody want to make a friend? And then he goes like the address, the mailing information with his like inmate number and thing.
Okay, so are they allowed? I heard that they're allowed to still be active on social media. Is that, do you know?
So they're not supposed to have phones. They're not supposed to have phones, but it's a hot commodity. Like in the movies, you see, they used to trade cigarettes and all this kind of stuff. It's like cell phones, and they get them in there, and they're texting with their families, like uploading photos. Yeah.
Because I had heard something. I know that there was a situation of someone that I knew that knows somebody that knows somebody. Yeah. But this particular person went to jail for domestic violence. And some way, somehow, he's checking on his girlfriend through jail and was like, I can't believe you're such a, he's already an aggressive, angersome kind of man. So he just like went crazy and ballistic on her through the phone and was like, you're such a whatever, calling her out of her name. And I guess he was able to see her story through jail. So I was like, are they allowed to have social media? Or do they have computers? I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to find out, by the way. I don't want to know. I just thought it was crazy.
I think they sneak phones in. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think they do that. I'm going back to like the stitching topic.
The RN stitching.
Yes, the RN stitching. And I'm just thinking... And them being married and like if they have conjugal visits, like I don't even know. As a wife, that would be like a very sad thing. Like
it would.
If he has to get stitched because he was violated,
that's different.
And then if he's getting home, what kind of trauma is involved in it? I mean, God, this has so many layers to it.
There is so many layers to it.
I mean, I'm not like throw the people away, but you have to kind of put all these things in perspective if you're like a girlfriend. And again, I think it boils down to the situation. In my family, they always said if somebody gets locked up, don't go visit them. Like let them do their time. I was in a situation, like as you know, my older son had gotten in trouble, and so he was not in the state prison, but he was still in trouble. And I went down there, and everybody's like, "Why would you go down there?" And I'm like, "It's my son." It was, I'd never been. It's
different, yeah.
Yeah, I'd never been in that situation, but I could see. I mean, wives and bringing their kids, and it was like this whole thing. And I remember thinking, like, no. And I remember telling my son, "You do this again, like I'm not doing this. Like you made these choices in your life. You're doing the time. Like we're going to do the time anyways because we're going to miss him and like all this kind of stuff." And so I think that that's hard. I have a cousin that really went away for a long time, and I stayed in contact for quite a while, but then it's so many years that like life goes on, and then they move them. If they get a lot of years, they move them from facility to facility, and it's so far away. So some of these women, you got to think, if your man goes away, he might be like upstate. California's a big state. And so that's a long drive. I've heard stories about New York. Yeah. They don't necessarily go to Ruckus, right there by the city. Like they get sent, far, Connecticut. Yeah. And so there's so many things to think about. So even if maybe let's just say you don't leave your husband or whatever, like maybe it's just how do you manage it?
No, but even it's not even about leaving your husband. Like some women will literally, they'll be boyfriend and girlfriend, and all of a sudden they're getting married. In jail because they want to see him.
I laugh, but it's like no.
But I think it's because people's mindsets are different. People's mindsets are completely different. For me, I'm just like, I'm not going to get another opportunity at this time for myself. Like, this moment I only have for me right now. And so I can't give my time up or that moment unless it's something that, he didn't pay traffic tickets, and maybe, it kind of escalated to something a little bit bigger, and he's going to be out. But if it's like domestic violence, he's in there because he's just an abuser, or, for trafficking, it depends. I mean, if I was provided a lifestyle and I knew he was a, what do you call it? If I knew that's what he was doing was trafficking, then I understand that that's part of the lifestyle, and I have to kind of stand by my man in a way, depending on the time. But if he's going to go away for life, kind of like, without putting actually, I'm not going to put his name out there just because you never know.
Yeah,
but, like,
I almost said it too.
I was like,
I almost said it too, and I went,
we're just not going to say his name.
No.
But truth is, if I was in that position where, I know that he provided a lifestyle for me, but he's going to be away for a lifetime, I probably would not stick around. I probably wouldn't. And I probably would have to watch my back too, though, because obviously now, it's either,
the loyalty factor is just,
it's on another level.
It is. And I think that even on the everyday life was what I was trying to kind of allude to earlier, is like, I could see how we would feel bad about what people would think of us.
Right.
If we're all like in this, booed up, relationship, and you meet the family and everybody loves you, and they're like, oh, we're going to get married one day. And he goes away and you're just like, yeah, I'm out. You can catch me at Tao or whatever. Like, then I can see people being like,
I wonder if it's easy for us to say because we're not in that position.
I think that's exactly
what it is. Because you and I are not in that position. On the contrary, we don't even have a significant other. So, like, I would stand by him like, girl, you have no one to stand by. So what are you talking about? But I think maybe if, again, if it was something that I understood that this is what he was doing, and then he goes to jail, I think knowing my loyalty, I probably would want to stick maybe a little bit if it's not too long. It's still tough. I mean, it's still tough.
I mean, is it like a situation like you'll take the calls and you'll read the letters, but you're still living your life.
Right.
Living your life. If you're not married, right? It's
right.
Like, but then if you are married, I've heard stories where then, the friends kind of slip in there because the friends are like, oh, he's going to be gone for 2 years and anything you need.
He was cheating on you.
Yeah, let me tell you what
so-and-so. Let me show you the text messages.
The 6 guys now that are listening.
I think that we doubled our audience by 6.
That are listening.
6 guys.
Walk a straight line. Because if you get locked up, don't be so stressed about your girl.
Yeah.
Your buddies are going to be coming in like Captain Save-A-Hose, I like to say, and they're going to be like, do you need groceries? Or I could drop off the kids at, school.
Yes.
And then next thing you know,
they're slithering their way.
It's Friday night and all this Netflix is on or whatever.
Netflix
like you
and
just
chilaquiles in the morning. I mean, it went from Netflix and chill to chilaquiles in the morning.
Yes. So you guys got to keep that in mind too. So, there's a lot going on and you're not around to protect your woman or whatever you want to say to yourself, but at the end of the day, because it's like free game, you're the one that lived the life to get you locked up. So
yeah, and then if your significant other comes out and then they went through some traumatic experiences, I mean, that's another thing that you have to deal with also, because a lot of the time I think that would be, not only would it be embarrassing, especially if the man is married, or maybe he's like, if you can't beat him, join him. And then all of a sudden,
like the movie American Me, where he gets out and then that's the only way he wants it type thing. It's
because that's what it is. And so, you have to really, really reassess everything and really think about all the details. I mean, it may work for some people, it may not work for others. And this is a subject that I wanted to talk about because I don't know why it's been in my inner circle lately a lot more than not. And I know people that have literally just started dating someone that just got out of jail. Now this guy's available because he's about to get out of jail. And they're literally trying to get all the girls, to have the girls ready to meet these guys as they come out. And it's literally in my inner circle lately. And I'm like, this is just weird.
Yeah,
it's just different.
That's so weird because, listen, when he's fresh out, I mean, there might be some, some interesting action there.
Yeah.
But after that, then he's like, okay. And then he's on to the next one, I don't know. I've seen so much over the years that it's I just don't trust it. And then at the end of the day, too, ladies, If you're a woman who's seeking a man in prison, okay, drop a comment, because I want to know, are you just attracted to men who are unavailable?
Because literally unavailable. Well, yes and no, because then if they get married in jail, they can still go visit.
But they're still kind of unavailable in the sense of like, he ain't doing nothing. He's locked in that little corner over there. He's on the streets. There's no temptation, supposedly. There's no this and that. Yeah.
He likes
but I wonder if psychologically in a woman's mind they think, he's all mine because he's over there like
locked up. Yeah.
So all he does is like talk to me,
it's like
and
the
like
song's
think
playing in my head is I'm locked up, they can't get
me out. Freaking Akon.
Yeah, Akon.
Oh my god.
So I mean, I'm not making fun of it, by the way. It just a song comes up, and then Rachel unintentionally wears black and white stripes today.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that. We're like,
and I'm like, you came ready for this topic.
Ready for the topic.
You're ready. I guess whatever works for you. I mean, really think about what it is that you want to get out of that relationship. If it's a long-term situation, you know what? You still have to live your life and really make that call to say it's just not worth it. I will continue to be friends with him, but I got to move on with my life because you know what? I'm not guaranteed more time, and I got to like make the best out of this time. And when he gets out, things could shift and change, and if the universe aligns you guys, and great, and if it doesn't, then you know what, you're just meant to move on and just say, you know what, you're not for me.
You know what, I want to bring something up that's really like right now happening, and that's Erica Jane, Beverly Hills Housewives. She's married to a little old guy who's his life is based on, the movie was Aaron Brockovich is based on, he's the attorney that movie's based on. He's a heavy hitter. He's made like several hundreds of millions of dollars over the years. She's the most glamorous woman on the show. Right. She's very over the top, beautiful, all the things. And now on Hulu, I'll just say it. We're not sponsored by Hulu. Yeah. Hey, one day. But there is a documentary right now. Part 1 just aired called The Hustler and the Housewife. And they exposed him. He's being indicted. He's been disbarred. And they're about to investigate her too. And so she filed for divorce. But it's like in that situation, that he married her when she was very young, and he elevated her from like a waitress in LA.
I mean, I had heard, and I'm not really familiar with the story other than I do know that she pursued him. And she was a server, and he was like, why not? And obviously she must have been pretty, and I mean, she must be really pretty, but now she's like gorgeous.
Oh yeah, she was a plain Jane. She said it herself, like she showed photos, and she did. She said, you come in here all the time. We get along so well. Like, take me out. He was single. She shot her shot. But that's a lot of years, is what I'm saying. And he invested in her. Like, everything you see right now of her is him. Like, millions invested in her. And in her career and in her appearance. Everything. The life, the house, like, everything. 2 jets. Like, it's a lot. And now it's all crumbling down. And it's so scandalous. I knew it was bad, but when I saw that piece the other day, I was like, this is going to get real ugly real quick. And imagine they lock him up, okay? Imagine they lock him up. It's like, what does she do? You know what I mean? Does it like she doesn't? Does she not take the calls?
She had already filed for divorce, so
because of this.
Because of this.
Yes.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
But there might be something that he knows, and it's to protect her. If they get divorced, then she can no longer probably testify against him. There might be something there. There might be a little loophole.
A lot of wealthy men, when like I look at Bill Gates right now, and I'm waiting because a lot of wealthy men, when something's about to come down the pike for them, they have the wives file for divorce, or they file for divorce, and it's an asset protection move, so they can move assets in their name. Which I agree, they might have done that. However, it's still a divorce, right? And at the end of the day, now what does she freaking do? Because this is someone she's loved,
of course,
for like 20-something years. You know what I mean? And so to be continued on that, it's like, watch that. But I feel bad for her.
Imagine for him too, to be a high-powered attorney, to have a movie that is based on you, based on your life. You just said he had 2 jets. To be at the highest peak of your life, to live the last days of your life, because he's not that young.
He's in his 80s,
and so he's probably going to go to jail, and then that's going to be the end of him. Imagine just like living this crazy, amazing high life to just being like, bam, just slaughtered like a freaking fly on a wall, literally.
It's bad. It is so bad. And so, yeah, from total esteem, the most respected attorney probably in our state, probably in our country,
right?
To like.
To just like
and it's horrible. Like the detail,
on the wall.
Yeah, the details are so ugly. But I wanted to bring that to light because it's like now you get to watch, if you're a fan of that, what her process is, and like even though she had to file for divorce because wealthy people do that for protection of assets,
right?
Protection of a lot of things. Does she sort of still is she going to show up in court? Is she
going to testify against him? You mean?
She can't. Yeah, she's not going to have to. But is she going to show up in court? Meaning, like, to support him, or like, or is she going to remove herself like so far away from that whole thing?
I mean, I don't know the details, and I don't know who filed for divorce. So if she filed, more than likely, she's probably not going to be there. If I had to guess. Unless he filed, and then there might be some type of protection there that might. I really don't know. I'm not an attorney, nor am I going to try to sit here and act like I am. All I know is I guess if you love somebody, you want to stand by them, and you think that it's worth it, then do it. But I think that you really need to reassess the whole scenario and situation on the time that you're going to invest in someone, and then being loyal to someone, because you never know. What if he's in jail for 3-4 years, and you're like, well, I'll play this game and I'll play that game. You don't know if he's going to be in jail getting so worked up that he knows that you're out screwing around and you're playing both fields.
Yeah.
And he's already in jail. Like, so he's like, I don't care. I don't mind going back. And then he does away with you. I mean, I know it sounds like so far-fetched and crazy, but you never know who you're dealing with.
Life is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know who you're dealing with. So, for me, that's all I got.
Yeah.
If you want to stand by your man, by all means, stay loyal and true. But if you don't, then don't. And, different strokes for different folks.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes.
And remember, you deserve fresh lettuce.
And cheers.
Cheers.